Hello there, world of tankers. Welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Droodles Blitz, and the auctions are finally here to stay for the next couple weeks. There are going to be 4 weeks of auctions. We are looking at week 1 today, and then in 7 days we'll be taking a look at week 2, and another 7 days we'll be taking a look at week 3, and then another 7 days we'll be taking a look at week 4. Do not spend all of your gold on week 1 if you're planning on still picking up vehicles on the later weeks. But what I can tell you is that the auctions are always the best way to spend your gold in World of Tanks Blitz. With that being said, in today's video, I'm going to be letting you know everything you're going to want to about the auction vehicles, my personal opinions on them, and whether or not you should be spending your gold on them. The way we're going to be basing that gold off of is the gold boxes. We can see there's one for $110, which gives you 100,000 gold. There's also one for $60 that gives you 50,000 gold. These are definitely the best ways to spend your money on the game. I mean, if you look at it like this, it's $100 for 100,000 gold, which means that it's basically a dollar for 1,000 gold. If we go down to the gold offers right now, a double gold bundle is normally 500 gold for $1, which means that you are literally getting a double gold bundle's worth if you get that $100 bundle or the $50 bundle. So yeah, I would definitely recommend to consider picking up those gold boxes if you have money saved up and you've been wanting to get a bunch of gold. Because 100,000 gold or even 50,000 gold is going to be enough to make you through this entire auction with probably 6 to 7 really good premiums. If you get the $100 one, you can probably get through this auction with 10 to 12 really good premiums. With that being said, let's get straight into it. Starting off, we have the Hawk 30. This is a Tier 8 German light tank, and for some reason when it was released, everybody said it was a worse RU-251, but they're wrong. This vehicle is actually a better RU-251. Not only does it have better armor, better gun depression due to the fact that it has flat 10 degrees over the sides and front, unlike the RU, which loses up to 5 or 3 degrees of gun depression when turning it, which is really weird and annoying. The vehicle has flat better armor, the gun is more accurate than the RU-251. The only real downside is that it's got slightly worse mobility, and the fact that it has a little bit worse DPM. But I think the Hawk 30 is really fun. I really enjoyed playing it when it was originally released, and it's dropping by a lot of gold. As we can see, day 1 it's 8,500 gold, but day 2 it's 7,000 gold. That's a 1,500 gold drop off. That means in 2 more days it'll drop another 3,000 gold. It might only be 4,000 gold in 3 days. I don't know how cheap Wargaming is going to get it. I have a feeling it's not going to continuously drop by 1,500 gold. But I can tell you it will probably get to 5,000, 4,000 gold at the end of the auctions. This tank for 5,000 gold is a really decent pickup. If you want a light tank that is fast, that has good gun depression, that's pretty fun to drive in general, with a solid gun and accuracy, the Hawk 30 is a really good shout. I enjoy it a lot. I also think the legendary camo for the vehicle looks absolutely sick, as we can see here. It's a really fun vehicle. I haven't played it an insane amount on my press account, but I have played it a lot on my main account. I've had quite a fun experience in the vehicle. It's accurate, as I said. Look at that heat pen, 288. That's really good for a light. So I can tell you that the Hawk 30 is actually a really fun vehicle, and it's not a bad pickup at all. The Object 252 is mid, to be honest. Wargaming has sold this tank so many times that I feel like, first of all, at least half of you watching today's video already have this vehicle. But let's say you're a beginner, because that's the only type of person I'd recommend to buy this tank. If you're a beginner and you're looking for a solid heavy, this is definitely the choice for you, because obviously you're going to want a tank that is strong, has a decent gun, good levels of penetration, and okay mobility. That's kind of what the 252 is. It's a IS-7 down at tier 8. It starts off at 9,500 gold, but it continuously gets cheaper as you make your way through the week. But it only drops by about 500 gold, so that means you're going to see a maximum drop of like 3,500 gold by the end of the week. So it's going to go from 9,500 to like, what, 7,000 gold? Or no, 6,000 gold. It's not a super cheap price, but 6,000 gold for a 252 is definitely a worthy pickup if you're a new player. I am a strong believer in the fact that if you're decent at the game, there's no point to buy a 252. It's not very fun, And if you have a K2, it already does most of what a 252 does anyway. But it is a decent vehicle, so do keep that in mind. The Astron Rex is one of my favorite tier 8s because it's an autoloader, but a balanced autoloader. It features a 270 damage per shotgun with 3 shells, so it can deal around 800 damage in a clip, which is pretty nice. Not only that, but the vehicle also has decent mobility, solid gun depression at 8 degrees, and a really goofy armor profile, allowing it to get some very troll bounces. I actually really like the Astron due to all of those aspects. It's one of the highest clipping potential mediums in tier 8, and when you pair that with the fact that it's starting off at 9,000 gold, it means it's going to get at cheapest to 5,500 gold. Do I think that's a decent deal? I think it's okay. I don't think it's anything incredible, but I do think that if it gets down to about 6,500 gold, and not everybody has bought the tank, that's a good deal. Because it's a fun tank, it's got a solid amount of mobility and everything going for it, but it's also a tricky tank to drive. As I said, the Astron is how I wish autoloaders were balanced. It's got really long reload so that it can deal a really solid amount of damage. So you do have to put it in pretty safe position once you're in reload because, well, you're out of the game for like 20 seconds. But I do think it's really fun. I actually really enjoy playing it. I think it looks really cool as well. Nothing overpowered, but a solid shout. Then we have the FV201A45. The FV201 is a pretty good shout as well. It's starting off at 4,000 gold, making it an incredibly cheap tier 7. And it's going to continuously drop by 250 gold. So it's not like a huge gold drop off, but over the next 3 days, it's going to go down to 3,000 gold, which means over the week, it might get down to like 2,500 gold. That is pretty dang cheap for a tier 7. 2,500 gold is actually a really good deal for that tank, if you ask me. Or even 3,000 gold is a good deal for the FE201. You know, you might think, oh, it's cheap, so it's not very good. But look at what this tank has. It has tungsten, it has speed boost, it has reactive armor, it's got adrenaline. It's got a lot of dangerous stuff there. It has incredible DPM, sitting just shy of 3,000, with really good levels of premium penetration. The weakness of this vehicle is that it's built on a Centurion hull, which means it has basically no armor. But the turret is really well armored. So if you hide the hull and you use the gun depression, which I should add it has a fairly solid amount of at 8 degrees, you can actually do very well in it. It's basically a slightly faster Black Prince, and it trades the armor for mobility. I really like this tank. I think it's a beast, and it's definitely one you should be scared of in tier 7 if you roll up against. So yeah, not a bad shout at all. A lot of people don't think it's the most exciting, but man, with all those consumables, I do have to say I think it's quite the dangerous vehicle. We arrive now to the higher tier vehicles, the K91 and the Kampfpanzer 70. Both of these tanks are pretty cheap to begin with at 11,000 and 10,000 gold. As we base the price tags off of the gold boxes, that means that Wargaming's asking $11 and $10 for the tank currently. But that price is only going to get cheaper. The next price drop for the K91 is an additional 500 gold, same for the Kampfpanzer 70. Which means the K91 is going to get down to a minimum of 7,500 gold. Trust me, if the K91 gets that cheap, buy it immediately. Even if the K91 gets to 8,000 gold, you should buy it. It is one of the most dangerous tier 9s in the game. The K91 is actually super underrated. A lot of people think that the 752 is the GOAT of tier 9. But I actually think it goes to the K91. Because, first of all, it has really good pen, 350 mils, 268 on the standard, but really the reason why it's so dangerous is because it has 2,700 DPM as an autoloader with 350 damage per shot. Thing's got 7 degrees of gun depression, decent mobility at a top speed of 40, it reverses fast. Thing's got it all. It really is one of the best tier 9s in the game. I've only played it 7 games, but I'm averaging 3,900 damage in those 7 battles. This thing is a freaking beast, and I think anything less than 10,000 gold, and you should consider picking up the K91. And the Kampfpanzer 70, being cheaper by 1,000 gold, means that this vehicle is going to get at a minimum price drop of 6,500 gold. But even without that being said, this tank is going to drop to probably 9,000 gold, 8,500 gold by the time it starts to sell out. If you can pick up a Kampfpanzer for even 9,000 to 8,500 gold, it is a steal. This is a tier 9 that you do not want to miss out on. It is by far one of the most fun tier 9s in the game. And after Wargaming has continuously buffed it, I almost think it's nearing the OP category. The vehicle features now 7 degrees of gun depression, making it flexible. The vehicle has 560 damage per shot, making it one of the highest alpha tier 9s. Not only that, it's mobile, achieving a top speed of 40 with a much better power to weight than the K91. It has really solid turret armor, and what's crazy is it even has decent DPM at 2,135. You know, a lot of people always say, oh, the DPM's not great on this tank, but I don't know where they're getting that from. The DPM on the Kampfpanzer 07 PE is around 2,200 with Cali. The E75 is around 2,000 with Cali. I mean, most of the Germans and even most of the heavies in general have the exact same DPM in tier 9 as the Kampfpanzer does. So the fact that you get this super accurate 150 millimeter cannon, which just chunks with a great mobility and super good arm, it's just honestly, the Kampfpanzer is like the best tank available here. It's such a good tank. Definitely consider picking both of these tier 9s up. And now we arrive to the two tier 10s, the T22 medium and the Chieftain Mark 6. The T22 has already sold out about 300 of them, and the Chieftain has sold out 500. I'm very surprised that already 500 Chieftains have sold, because I would have thought the T22 would sell more. So we're going to start off with the T22 at 13,500 gold with about 300-ish sold. It means that we can assume that this tank's going to sell out fairly quickly. I think maybe you'll get it to 12,500 gold, but after that, it's going to be gone. Do I think a T22 medium is worth 12,000 gold? Yes! Buy this tank! $12 for a T22 medium is insanely good. That will make it one of the cheapest tier 10s that Wargaming has ever sold, especially one that is pretty dang stupid on its capabilities. Vehicle has frickin' tungsten, it has insane levels of DPM, great mobility, some of the most annoying armor to deal with in tier 10. It is an absolutely insane tank. The only thing that's not the best about it is its credit earnings. It's a little bit on the medium side, but still, it is a really good vehicle, and I would highly recommend to pick up the T22 medium. Thing is insane. Even for 13,500 gold, that's a good deal. So if the T22 doesn't make it to the next price drop, definitely consider buying it, but I would highly recommend to wait for it to get as cheap as possible and then pick it up. The Chieftain Mark 6, oh my, this thing is also absolutely incredible. The Chieftain Mark 6 is one of my favorite tier 10s in the game. It's starting off at 14,500 gold, and it's only dropping by 500 each day. But judging that the vehicle's already sold about 500 in just the first few hours, we can assume that this vehicle is not going to make it too many days. The Chieftain Mark 6 is, well, just an incredible tank. First of all, the vehicle is maneuverable because it features tungsten and it features gear oil, meaning that it can reverse at upwards of 18 to 20 kilometers per hour if you're running 2 gear oil or 1. It has tungsten, as I mentioned, which means you can have some nasty damaging shots, and it has a HESH firing gun. If you like the Charlemagne, you'll like the Chieftain. 216 mils of high explosive pen, dealing a whopping 470 damage on the HE. It also still has standard HE with 86 mils of pen, dealing 515 damage, 10 degrees of gun depression. This thing is a beast, it really is. I think the Chieftain Mark 6 right now is one of the most fun tier 10s in the game. However, I actually think the T22 is a better tank for most players. So, I would recommend, if you're a beginner, or even if you're a player that likes super mobile YOLO-y tanks, the T22 is probably the way to go. But if you want that haul-down, HESH-slinging, slasher-style playstyle, then consider picking up the Chieftain. These are all the vehicles and my opinions on them. Make sure you consider smashing that subscribe button down below if you enjoy the style of content, and let me know what you guys think about these prices. What I can say about the Chieftain is 14,000 gold is a really good deal. Even if it doesn't get much cheaper, I would say the T22 and Chieftain are both worth the price tags. Same for the tier 9s. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.